Welcome. My name is Evan West, and today I'm going to be doing a book tasting for you on Surviving the Hindenburg by Larry Verstraete, and it's illustrated by David Geister. So this book was written in 2012, and it's produced and published by Sleeping Bear Press. It's a 32-page biographical nonfiction picture book. So it is a true account of the Hindenburg, the 1937 explosion of the Hindenburg, told from the viewpoint of a 14-year-old cabin boy, our main character, Werner Franz. So Werner Franz is a cabin boy, a dish boy basically, and what's really exciting about this book and why I really recommend using it in your classrooms, grades 3 up to grade 6, is that the students can really associate with such a young main character, and with this being such a dark historical event, they can really associate with the trials and issues that this character had to go through. A little bit about Larry Verstraete, the author. Larry Verstraete is a native Manitoban, so he's a Canadian. He's also a former teacher, so he really knows how to write for students. He knows how to write for the classroom, for teachers, and to really talk about some of the main historical events and how to get that imagery portrayed across in his writing. He now spends a lot of his time doing a lot of young reader presentations and conferences. Larry's first picture book was G is for Golden Boy, and he also wrote a Manitoba alphabet and won some awards for his 8 books for young people. The illustrator David Geister is also quite exciting. He does quite a lot of historical illustrations, so he only does historical paintings, and he does a lot of school visits as well. Now these days he doesn't do a lot of illustrations anymore. He tends to do a lot more school visits, but a lot of the teachers and librarians that see him at these conferences really comment on the rapport that David establishes with the children. There's some really good feedback on this book, so you can kind of see the wonderful scene painting that he does. The watercolors and everything that he chooses are a little bit toned down, but it really gets the concept that this is an old story, 1937. You can really kind of get yourself into the history of it. He also does really fantastic emotional portrayals, and so I'm just going to flip over here. So I really absolutely love how he draws the reactions on each of the characters throughout the book, on Werner and the issues that he goes through. You can see just the beautiful colors here on the first page. He uses just fantastic colors. So this book's won a lot of awards. In 2014, so a couple years after it was written, he won the Alberta Rocky Mountain Award. He was put on the short list for it. And he won in 2014 the Storytelling World Resource Award for Adolescent Learners. And most notably, I think, is the Parents' Choice Foundation Recommendation Book Award. And so he won the Gold Award for that. It's really a series of awards that are written for to prove to people that the source content in these books is suitable for that age range. So they're actually graded, and this won the award for its grade 3 content. So I'm just going to really quickly read from the book for you here. A little excerpt for you, so you can kind of get a sense on how it's written by Larry Verstraete here. Get it in the scene here. All right, so here we got a scene. So this is Werner, our main character, the cabin boy. Werner had a coffee cup in his hand when he heard a muffled thud. He felt the Hindenburg quiver and saw a glow through the window. Without warning, the stern dropped. Dishes tumbled from the cabinet. Something's happening. Werner ran from the officers' mess into the corridor that led to the keel gangway. It was empty. He seemed to be the only member of the crew in that part of the Zeppelin. The Hindenburg lurched, the stern dropped, and the bow rose. From behind, Werner heard a hiss. A giant fireball tore down the keel gangway. Immediately, Werner felt its searing heat. The stern of the Hindenburg was on fire. There was no time to lose. What is he going to do? Werner ran towards the bow. But he managed only a few steps. He slipped and landed on his stomach. Backward toward the fire, he slid. Fighting the steep slope, Werner grabbed ropes on either side of the gangway and crawled. A roar filled his ears. Fed by the exploding gas cells, flames shot forward, leaping across the fabric, surging ahead. In no time, the fire had spread from the stern, then to the midsection, now to the bow. Heat scorched the soles of Werner's shoes. There didn't seem to be anywhere to go, no place safe, and no easy escape. I'm going to leave it there. Don't want to ruin the whole book for you. Just a quick quote from School Library Journal on this book. So in 2012, the story of the disaster is told through the eyes of the last surviving member of the crew, Werner Franz, who was only 14 at the time of the crash. He was a cabin boy aboard the luxury airship and moved freely about the Zeppelin as he completed his regular duties. This picture book is a biography which provides exciting introduction to the bygone days before airplanes were a viable option for crossing the Atlantic. The accompanying paintings, with their slightly subdued colors, adequately depict the drama as it unfolds. It's a solid addition to real-life disaster collections. So I really wanted to stress that this book's fantastic for tying into cross-curricular. So not only can you talk about this in English, so you can get the students to really listen to the book and put themselves into the point of view of Werner, the main character. How did he feel? So this is written from the narrator's point of view. So you can have the students listen and then write their own viewpoint on how Werner felt and how would Werner write this book if he were to write this book. You can also do how your students would feel if they were on the side and they were observers of this accident. So what would they say? What would they think? What would they write about? You can have them do a timeline. So reading from the book, you can have them do a timeline, what happened when. You can also have them quickly do a newspaper print, so what would be seen in the news the next day. What I really picked this book for was for the science topic, so you can actually go into flight. So grade 6 science is fantastic. They're introduced into the concepts of flight. So the Hindenburg, you can tie into that objects have to be controlled through flight, how they make their way through the air. They can construct devices for flight, and they can understand the concept that balloons and stuff have to have sufficient lift to overcome the downward force of gravity. That's one of the SLOs in the flight course in grade 6. So there's some really great ideas. You can have them build helium balloons and use marshmallows and straws, make fuselages that can lift off the ground. You can have them stabilize it. So there's a lot of really great options. History, you can tie in and have them track the trip of the Hindenburg on Google Earth. So some really great opportunities for you to use this in the classroom. I highly recommend you as teachers to bring it in. And so that's everything. Thank you very much for listening to my book talk today. And I hope you guys go out there and grab yourself a copy of this and bring it into your classroom. Thank you.